So, that was possibly the quickest run through of social media strategy and how to put it into your plan that I've ever done. That in itself is a full day. Can be a full day in terms of experiment. So, I'm going to rattle on, if that's okay, to talk about word of mouth. And it's not coincidence that word of mouth and indeed experiential marketing follows the web and social media, because all of these tools are linked together. But this is common sense, so we can run through this quickly. Everybody here has an idea of what word of mouth marketing and communication is, I'm sure. We know it's positive, we also know it can be destructive. Multiply that by social media and it can be even more destructive. So James's points about walking the walk, getting the service delivery right, underpin everything around word of mouth marketing. You can imagine 10 years ago, if I had a brilliant experience, I told my mum, my family members and a few mates, and then they did the same, a relatively small network. I have a brilliant experience now, I post it on Twitter, and the 1,500 people that follow me see my comments, and the 1,500 people that follow them see the comments. So it's word of mouth is exactly the same as it's always been. Get it right, people will say nice things about you, but the scale has just grown massively when linked to these social media tools. So, it's like any good conversation, you have to contribute to it. It has to be two-way. Excuse me. So, excuse me. And the last thing to say is that it's not free. Bit of a misnomer. Word of mouth is free advertising, right? People say nice things about you. It's not free. Well, it requires an investment of your time to get that right. We'll go beyond that. I think. If someone wants to ask me about where are their bins, it's just an easy example to understand that if you want people to recommend you, make sure that the first thing they see when they pull up in the car park is not where everybody seems to put the municipal bins, which is in the big car parks. It's about being consistent, making sure that as that group we talked about, you use your sense of place and your USPs consistently right the way across the group, so that when people do want to recommend you, say something nice about you, they've got the same nice thing to say. Because then when they say it, and 25 people say the same thing, that in effect snowballs and builds your credibility. Excuse me. The rest of it's pretty obvious. These are some things that you can try right now as groups. I won't read them all out, but I am going to pick out just one, actually, if that's okay. Actually, no, two. Very British to be reserved and not asked. How many of you in your communities, in your destination, actually ask, openly, overtly ask for word of mouth recommendations? Not many hands. Ask, it's okay. If people have had a great experience, they'll say something nice about you. So that means if you run a guest house and you've got a visitor's book, ask people to do it. If you run a restaurant or issue parking tickets even, print a request for word of mouth recommendations on the back of receipts, on parking tickets. Print it on invoices. Have it as an email footer. If you've had a great experience, please recommend us. In fact, if you've had a great experience, please recommend us if you're so inclined. Here's our TripAdvisor site, we'll do it there. You can actually positively encourage people to do it, and I suggest you do. And there's nothing wrong as well with incentivising it. Dirty word, I know. How can you incentivise people to say something nice about you? I get criticised all the time for suggesting this. Rubbish, do it. People generally will say something nice. I've worked with hotel groups that are quite happy as a community, 5 hotels, 5 B&Bs, once a quarter to offer a night's free accommodation for a draw to do it. Last thing to say is, I mentioned sight being the most positive sense, we have strongest sense. It's not the sense that's most closely linked to memory. That is taste and smell. So that means, almost irrespective of the cracking experience you can give to visitors, if you don't get the food right, that's the one bloody thing they remember, and it's the one thing that will colour everything else. So I'll leave you with that.